The room felt wrong the moment I opened my eyes. Too quiet. Too cold. And then I felt it, the heat. My son's tiny body burned against my chest like a space heater stuck on high. His breath came in short, ragged pulls, each one scraping through his throat like sandpaper. A weak whimper slipped out of him, barely louder than the ticking wall clock. Hey, it's okay, I whispered, though my voice sounded wrecked, like I hadn't slept in a week. Mama's here. My right hand drifted across the mattress beside me out of habit. Empty. Cold sheets. Untouched pillows. No Ethan. 2 weeks. 14 straight days since my husband had walked out after a dumb argument about money for baby formula, and never came back. No call. No text. No explanation. Just, gone. At first I'd told myself he was cooling off. Ethan could be dramatic when stressed. But 1 day became 3. 3 became 7. And now we were at 14 days of radio silence while his 7-month-old son lay feverish in my arms. My fingers shook as I grabbed my phone from the nightstand and hit his name again. Dialing. Connecting. Then the same robotic female voice for the 100th time. The person you're trying to reach is unavailable. I swallowed hard. Ethan, where the hell are you? I whispered to the dead line. My message thread stared back at me, my last text still sitting there with a single gray checkmark. Undelivered. Unseen. Unanswered. 6:02 a.m. Weak winter sunlight leaked through the blinds, striping the walls in pale gold. I hadn't slept at all. My eyes felt like broken glass. My head pounded. My milk had nearly dried up from stress, and my baby's fever wouldn't break. I just managed to lay him down when... Bang. 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 I flinched so hard my heart nearly stopped. Get up. Do you even know what time it is? Chloe. Ethan's younger sister. Freeloader in residence for the last 6 months. I dragged myself to the door and cracked it open. Chloe, please, I whispered. He just fell asleep. His fever's really high. She stood there in silk pajamas, arms crossed, expression already irritated, like I'd personally offended her by existing. Instead of asking about her nephew, she shoved a wrinkled blouse into my hands. I've got brunch at noon, she snapped. When were you planning to iron this? And the sink is full of dishes. I haven't even had breakfast. My skull throbbed. I haven't slept. The baby's sick. Ethan's gone and I literally don't have money for a doctor. Could you just watch him for a few minutes so I can cool him down? She scoffed. Oh my God, Era. Babies get fevers. They survive. And my brother is out there busting his ass to provide for you while you sit at home all day. Stop being dramatic and iron the shirt. I'm not showing up wrinkled because you're lazy. Lazy. The word sliced straight through me. This land, my voice shook. This house sits on my mother's land. I've kept this place running. You're a guest here. Could you just show a little empathy? Her eyes hardened instantly. Oh please, not the property speech again. Ethan's your husband. What's yours is his. Stop acting like some queen. If he saw how useless you've gotten, he'd stay away even longer. She threw the blouse into my chest and stormed off toward the kitchen. I sank to the floor. Cold tile. Wrinkled fabric in my lap. Tears finally spilling over. This house, built on my mother's inheritance, was supposed to be my safe place. Instead it felt like a prison full of people who resented me. My dad had warned me. A man who obeys his mother without question will never protect his wife. I'd ignored him. I'd believed love was enough. Now I had 2 $1 bills in my wallet, a sick baby, no electricity payment left, and a husband who'd vanished like smoke. Something sour twisted in my gut. Why was Chloe so relaxed? Why hadn't my mother-in-law asked where her son was? Why did this feel planned? I stood slowly. There was one place in the house Ethan never let anyone touch. His study. And suddenly, I needed to know what was inside more than I needed air. I swear the clock on the wall was trolling me that morning. Every tick sounded louder than the last, like it was counting down to something awful I didn't want to name. My baby's tiny chest kept fluttering against my arm, each breath a shaky little fight, and my heart was straight up doing backflips in my ribcage. I grabbed my phone off the nightstand, screen cracked, battery at 9%, story of my life, and tapped Ethan's name for what had to be the 100th time. Straight to voicemail. Again. Yo, pick up, I muttered, pacing the bedroom with my son pressed to my shoulder. Just pick up for once, man. My voice sounded rough, like gravel scraped across asphalt. The baby let out this thin, wheezy cry that sliced right through me, and panic surged hot and ugly in my throat. I couldn't just stand here waiting on a ghost. If Ethan wanted to vanish into whatever midlife crisis fantasy he'd run off to, fine, but my kid needed help now. I shoved my feet into the first sneakers I found and wrapped the baby tighter in his blanket. It was early enough that the hallway outside our apartment was dead quiet, the kind of silence that feels heavy, like it's watching you. I didn't even bother locking the door behind me. What was there to steal anyway? A half-empty fridge, unpaid bills stacked like a bad joke, and a marriage already circling the drain. The elevator took forever, so I bolted down the stairs, each step rattling up my legs. By the time I hit the street, my lungs were burning, but adrenaline had me moving on pure survival mode. The morning air was cold enough to sting, and I pulled the blanket up over my baby's nose, whispering, "Hang on, sweetheart. Mama's got you. We're good. We're good." Even though I had zero clue if we were. Cabs were scarce this early, and the bus stop down the block looked miles away. I flagged down the first car I saw, waving like a maniac. The driver slowed, window rolling halfway down, suspicion all over his face. "You okay?" he asked. "My baby can't breathe," I blurted. "Hospital. Please." No pride left, no filter, just raw fear spilling out. Something in my voice must have hit him, because he jerked his head. "Get in." I slid into the back seat, clutching my son while the car peeled off. The city blurred past in streaks of gray and neon, and I kept counting breaths under my breath. 1, 2, 3, like if I stayed on top of it, he would too. The driver kept glancing at us in the mirror, jaw tight, like he knew this ride was different from the usual airport runs and bar pickups. My phone buzzed once in my pocket, and hope punched me hard enough to hurt. I yanked it out. Unknown number. For a split second, I almost didn't answer. Then I did. "Hello?" A pause. Then a woman's voice, smooth, clipped, totally unfamiliar. "Is this Ethan's wife?" The question hit like ice water. "Yeah," I said slowly. "Who's asking?" Another pause, longer this time, like she was measuring every word. "You don't know me," she said. "But I think you should know where your husband has been." The car kept moving, tires humming on asphalt, but everything inside me went still. My baby wheezed softly against my chest, and somewhere deep down, dread uncoiled, cold and certain. "Lady," I said, voice shaking despite my best effort, "unless you're calling with an inhaler and a miracle, now's not the time." "I'm calling," she said, calm as glass, "because he's about to make the biggest mistake of his life." My stomach dropped straight through the floor. And for the first time since Ethan disappeared, I felt it, this sharp, electric certainty that whatever truth was coming next was about to wreck everything I thought I knew. I stared at the back of the driver's seat like it might suddenly sprout answers. The woman's words still hung in the air, cold and heavy, while my baby's breath rasped against my collarbone. My brain tried to split in two, one half screaming hospital now, the other snagged on "your husband has been like a hook buried deep." "Look," I said, pressing the phone tighter to my ear, "I don't know who you are, but my kid can't breathe. So unless this is life or death info, you need to call me back." It is, she replied instantly. No hesitation. No drama. Just this eerie certainty. Because if you don't know where he is right now, you're about to lose him permanently. My chest went tight. Lose him? I snapped. He already bailed. Haven't seen him in 3 days. So congrats, you're late. Silence. Then a soft exhale from her end. No, she said. He didn't bail. He moved in with me. The words landed like a car crash in my skull. For a second I genuinely thought I misheard. My brain scrambled to translate, with me meaning coworker? Sister? Therapist? Some weird misunderstanding? But deep down, instinct was already screaming the truth before she finished her next sentence. I didn't know he was married, she said quietly. He told me you were his ex. The world lurched sideways. I tightened my hold on my son, heart slamming so hard it made my vision flicker. You're lying, I whispered. Not even angry yet, just stunned, like someone had ripped the floor out from under me. He has a kid. A baby. He wouldn't. He told me the child was from a previous relationship, she said. Still calm. Still surgical. That you two separated last year. That you were unstable. Something in my chest cracked clean open. Unstable. I almost laughed, this broken, hysterical sound that scared even me. Because while I was pacing floors at 3 a.m. with a colicky newborn, while I was skipping meals so the formula lasted, while I was drowning in bills and sleep deprivation and loneliness, my husband was apparently out here auditioning for a whole new life. You're insane, I said, but my voice had gone thin. He lives with me. Our stuff is in the same apartment. His clothes, his. Not anymore, she cut in gently. He moved his things last week. My stomach dropped. Memories flashed, Ethan saying he needed to clear his head, those late nights, working overtime, the suitcase he claimed held work files. Every red flag I'd swallowed whole because trusting him felt easier than facing reality. Oh my God, I breathed. In the front seat, the driver shot me a worried glance in the mirror. We're 5 minutes out, he said softly. 5 minutes. My baby wheezed again, tiny fingers curling in my shirt like he was holding on for dear life. Reality slammed back in, ER, oxygen, doctors. Survival first. Breakdown later. Why are you telling me this? I demanded into the phone, voice shaking. What do you want? Another pause. I could hear faint traffic on her end, like she was outside somewhere. Waiting. Thinking. Because he's here right now, she said. Packing. He told me he's filing for divorce today. The air vanished from my lungs. And I realized, she continued, if what I discovered this morning is true, you deserve to know before he signs anything. Ice crawled up my spine. Discovered what? Her voice dropped, softer now, but heavier than anything yet. He's not just cheating, she said. He's lying to both of us about something much bigger. The car slowed, hospital entrance coming into view, automatic doors, harsh white lights, people rushing in and out like lives were constantly teetering on edges here. My baby gave a weak, broken cry. Panic roared back, shredding everything else. I have to go, I said, already reaching for the door handle. My son. I know, she said quickly. Listen to me. After the hospital, call me back. Please. I hesitated. 1 heartbeat. 2. What's your name? I asked. A breath. Lena, she said. The car stopped. I shoved the door open and stumbled out, clutching my baby, world tilting between terror and betrayal. As I ran toward the ER doors, Lena's last words chased me like a shadow I couldn't outrun. He's been using your identity, she said. And if you don't stop him today, you could lose everything. The ER doors whooshed open and swallowed me whole. Cold air, fluorescent lights, antiseptic smell so sharp it burned the back of my throat. People everywhere, nurses hustling, monitors beeping, someone crying behind a curtain. Chaos, but the organized kind, like everyone here knew exactly where to aim their panic except me. My baby can't breathe, I choked at the intake desk, shoving forward before the sliding doors even finished opening. Please, he's wheezing, he's been sick all night. The triage nurse snapped into motion fast. Thank God. She took one look at my son's grayish lips and hit some invisible emergency switch in her brain. Respiratory distress, she called out, already steering us through swinging doors. How old? 4 months, I said, legs barely keeping up. They laid him on a tiny bed under bright lights. Hands everywhere, gentle but urgent, unwrapping the blanket, placing sensors, lifting his chin. A mask came down over his nose, oxygen hissing softly. His chest kept pulling in hard, ribs showing with each breath, and I swear I felt every single one inside my own body. You did the right thing bringing him in, someone said. A doctor, maybe. I couldn't focus. My vision tunneled around that small struggling face. Is he gonna be okay? My voice sounded like it belonged to someone else, thin, desperate. We're helping him breathe, the doctor said. Calm, practiced. Looks like bronchiolitis or a severe viral infection. We need to stabilize him and monitor oxygen. Stabilize. Monitor. Words that meant not safe yet. I nodded automatically while my brain screamed. My hands hovered uselessly over him until a nurse guided one gently to his foot. You can touch him, she said softly. He knows you're here. I rested my fingers against his tiny toes, warm but weakly flexing, and everything inside me shattered. Mama's here, I whispered. I got you. I'm not going anywhere. Not like your father. The thought hit like acid. For a split second the hospital dissolved, replaced by Lena's voice in my head. He moved his things. Filing for divorce. Using your identity. My stomach twisted so hard I thought I'd puke right there on the linoleum. Mom, the nurse said gently. We need some information. I forced my eyes up. Yeah. Baby's name? Oliver, I said automatically. Oliver Hayes. She typed. Date of birth? I answered. Address, pediatrician, insurance. Insurance. Policyholder, she asked without looking up. His father, I said. Ethan Hayes. Her typing stopped. Just for a second. Then resumed. But that tiny pause, barely half a heartbeat, scraped across my nerves. What? I asked, dread prickling. She gave a quick professional smile. Just confirming coverage. I swallowed. It's active, right? Another micropause. Eyes flicking to the screen. Then back to neutral. Let me verify with admissions. Ice slid into my veins. No, I said, pulse spiking. It's active. It has to be. He has it through work. He handles it. She gave that careful healthcare look, the one that's kind but not reassuring. We'll check. They wheeled Oliver away for imaging before I could ask more. 1 second he was under the lights, the next the bed was moving, oxygen tank rattling alongside. I stumbled after them until a nurse blocked me gently. We'll bring him right back, she said. You can wait here. And just like that, I was alone. The room suddenly felt enormous without him in it. Empty bed. Tangled cords. My arms still curved like they were holding weight that wasn't there anymore. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I knew before I looked. Lena. I stared at the screen while my heart pounded in my throat. Part of me wanted to smash the phone against the wall. Another part needed answers so badly it hurt. I answered. Is your baby okay? She asked immediately. No preamble this time. Just raw concern. I swallowed hard. They're working on him. A breath of relief on her end. Then silence stretching between us, thick with everything unsaid. Why did you say he's using my identity? I asked finally. My voice came out flat, numb. What does that even mean? She hesitated. I could hear wind now, like she was outside somewhere open. Alone. Because this morning, she said slowly, I found documents in his bag. My skin prickled. Legal forms, she continued. Bank paperwork. Lease agreements. Insurance files. Every word landed heavier. They all had your name, she said. Your social security number. Your signature. The world tilted again. That's impossible, I whispered. I never signed anything. I know, she said softly. Because the signatures didn't match. My breath stopped. And the accounts, she went on, voice tightening now, they're maxed out. Loans. Credit lines. Medical debt. All under you. My knees nearly buckled. He told me, Lena finished quietly, you'd abandoned him financially. Something inside me went utterly, terrifyingly still. Across the ER, monitors beeped. A code was called overhead. Life and death kept moving. And in that sterile, humming space, the truth finally crashed through me like glass. My husband hadn't just left. He'd burned my life down on the way out that I slid down the wall before I even realized my legs had given out. Cold tile against my back. Harsh hospital lights drilling into my skull. The world around me kept moving, nurses passing, carts rattling, distant alarms, but everything inside me had gone weirdly silent, like the moment after an explosion when your ears just ring and ring. That can't be real, I said into the phone. My voice sounded hollow, scraped raw. You're telling me he opened accounts, in my name? Yes, Lena said quietly. No drama now. No distance. Just grim certainty. Multiple. Credit cards, personal loans, a car lease. And there's more. My stomach twisted. More? I found an insurance policy, she said. Life insurance. The air left my lungs in a slow, sick leak. On him? Another pause. On you. My brain refused to process that sentence. It just stalled. Like a computer hitting corrupted data. That's not possible, I whispered. You can't take life insurance on someone without your consent, she finished. Exactly. My pulse started hammering again, this time with something darker than fear. You're saying he forged it? Yes. I pressed my hand over my mouth, nausea surging. Images flashed, Ethan at the kitchen table with papers, saying they were tax stuff, asking me to sign, just here, babe, while Oliver cried in the background and I barely glanced. Oh God. Oh my God, I breathed. I signed things. I didn't read them. I thought. You trusted him, Lena said softly. The words cracked something open. Tears spilled before I could stop them. Not loud sobs, just silent, shaking grief leaking out of me in waves. I'm so stupid, I whispered. No, she said firmly. You're not. He's a fraudster. The word hit hard. Fraudster. Criminal. Not just cheating husband. Not just liar. Someone who'd systematically hollowed out my identity while I was drowning in newborn exhaustion. How bad is it? I asked, barely audible. A long pause. I could almost hear her debating how much truth I could handle. 6 figures, she said finally. My vision went black at the edges. That's impossible, I said weakly. We don't even have that kind of credit. You didn't, she corrected. He built it using your information. Opened accounts over time. Paid minimums so nothing flagged. Then maxed everything in the last 6 months. 6 months. Since Oliver was born. While I was on maternity leave. No income. Medical bills piling. Depending entirely on Ethan. The realization slammed into me so hard my chest hurt. He'd timed it. Planned it. Waited until I was financially trapped. I can't breathe, I whispered, panic spiking. Hey, Lena said quickly. Listen to me. This is fixable. 6 figures isn't fixable. I snapped, voice cracking. I can't even pay rent without him. My baby's in the ER and now you're telling me I owe. You don't owe it, she said sharply. He does. This is identity theft. I froze. Identity theft. The phrase shifted something. Not my fault. Crime. Evidence. Law. I took photos, she said. All the documents. Account numbers. Policies. Everything. Hope flickered, fragile but real. You did? Yes. And there's something else. My stomach clenched again. What? He's been trying to access your medical records, she said. Your hospital portal. Insurance logins. I saw password reset emails. Ice shot through me. Why would he need my medical records? Silence. Too long. Lena, I whispered, dread rising like floodwater. Why? When she spoke again, her voice had changed, tight, shaken now, like she hated what she was about to say. Because, she said, the life insurance policy has a medical exclusion clause. My skin went cold. What does that mean? It means, she said slowly, the payout is highest if the insured has no known chronic conditions. My heart slammed once. Hard. And? I whispered. And he listed you, she said, voice breaking slightly now, as perfectly healthy. The ER tilted. I am healthy, I said automatically. I mean, I had normal pregnancy stuff but. Then why, she whispered, has he been trying to alter your medical records? The world stopped. Every sound cut out. Every thought froze. Because suddenly, horribly, one memory surfaced, sharp and bright and wrong. 2 weeks ago. Ethan insisting I skip my follow-up appointment. It's fine, he'd said. You're overreacting. Save the copay. Then later, him asking weird questions. About test results. Blood work. Postpartum screenings. My pulse thundered in my ears. What are you saying? I asked, voice barely air. I'm saying, Lena said, each word heavy, I think he needs you to stay healthy on paper. A tremor ran through me. Why? I breathed. She didn't answer immediately. When she finally did, her voice was almost a whisper. Because the policy pays most, she said, if death is ruled accidental. The word accidental didn't just land, it detonated. For a few seconds I genuinely couldn't move. Couldn't think. Couldn't even blink. My brain just kept replaying it on a loop like some cursed audio glitch. Policy pays most if death is ruled accidental, accidental, accidental. Stop, I whispered. My throat had gone desert dry. You're reaching. No. That's insane. I know, Lena said softly. I thought the same thing. Until I saw the beneficiary form. My stomach dropped straight through the floor. Who? I asked, even though I already knew. Silence. Then, Ethan. The ER came rushing back in a violent wave, noise, lights, motion, but it all felt distant, warped, like I was underwater. My husband. My child's father. The man who'd kissed my forehead while I labored for 14 hours. Who'd cried holding Oliver for the first time. Who'd promised forever in a cheap courthouse ceremony because we couldn't afford anything else. He'd taken out life insurance on me. Forged debt in my name. And was now trying to control my medical records. My chest tightened so hard it hurt to breathe. No, I said again, but weaker now. He wouldn't, he's not, he's just selfish. A liar. Not that. You know him, Lena said quietly. I don't. But I do know financial crimes. I'm an accountant. That snapped my attention. You are? Yes. Corporate forensic accounting. Fraud investigations. The irony hit like a slap. Ethan had literally chosen a fraud investigator to cheat with. I almost laughed, but hysteria sat too close to the surface. I started noticing inconsistencies, she continued. Stories that didn't line up. Financial documents he wouldn't let me see fully. So this morning, when he showered, I checked his bag. My pulse thudded in my ears. And? I whispered. And I realized, she said, voice tight, he's been constructing an exit strategy. The phrase made my skin crawl. Exit strategy? Yes. Debt shifted to you. Assets moved to him. New residence under his name only. And the insurance. I swallowed hard. So he ruins me financially, then divorces me? Another pause. No, she said quietly. Divorce voids spousal life insurance claims in many cases. My heart skipped. So if he divorces me, I said slowly, he doesn't get the payout. Correct. Cold realization spread through me like poison. So he needs me, I breathed, to stay married. Yes. And healthy, I added faintly. Yes. And then, I couldn't finish. Lena did it for me, voice barely audible. If something accidental happens, he clears the debt, collects the policy, and walks away financially clean. The world tilted. My husband wasn't just leaving me. He was building a scenario where my death solved everything. I pressed my head back against the wall, nausea rolling. This is insane, I murmured. You don't murder someone over debt. No, Lena said. But people have killed for far less. My skin prickled, memories suddenly rearranging themselves under a new, horrifying lens. Ethan insisting I take the stairs because the elevator was sketchy. Ethan getting weirdly angry when I mentioned updating my own insurance. Ethan offering to drive me to late appointments, then canceling last minute. Ethan pushing me to sign documents fast. My pulse pounded. Has he said anything? I asked. About me. Recently. A pause. Then Lena exhaled slowly. Yes. Ice flooded my veins. What? He said, she whispered, that you're fragile. The word made my stomach lurch. He said, she continued, you're exhausted, overwhelmed, depressed since the baby. My hand started shaking. He said you forget things. Misplace things. Leave doors unlocked. Burn food. My breath hitched. He said, she finished quietly, you're accident prone. The hallway light seemed to flicker. Because suddenly every small mishap of the past months, every dropped plate, missed step, bumped head, felt less like postpartum fog and more like narrative. Documentation. A story someone else was writing about me. He's building a record, I whispered. Yes, Lena said. A sob tore out of me before I could stop it. My baby, I choked. If something happens to me. Hey, she said quickly, firm now. Listen to me. That's why I called. Nothing has happened. You're alive. You know now. I clung to that. You know now. Across the ER, a nurse appeared pushing Oliver's tiny bed back toward me, oxygen mask still on, chest rising easier now. Relief slammed into me so hard my knees nearly gave. Your son? Lena asked softly, hearing the change in my breathing. They're bringing him back, I whispered. He's okay. Good, she said. Hold him. Stay with him. And when you're able, we need to act. I nodded automatically, though she couldn't see. What do I do? First, she said, voice all business now, you do not confront him. My stomach twisted. Why? Because if he suspects you know, she said, he'll accelerate whatever plan he has, or destroy evidence. Cold dread coiled in my gut. Second, she continued, you secure your documents. ID, bank access, medical portals. Change passwords immediately. Okay, I whispered. Third, she said, we go to the police. The word hit like thunder. Police. Crime. Attempted murder. My husband. Oliver's bed rolled up beside me. His eyes fluttered, oxygen mask fogging with each breath. I grabbed his tiny hand, tears spilling again. Mom, the nurse said gently, he's improving. I nodded, clutching him like he was the only solid thing left in the world. On the phone, Lena's voice softened. You're not crazy, she said. You're not imagining this. And you're not alone anymore. I closed my eyes, cheek against my son's blanket, while the full horror finally settled in. The man I married wasn't just gone. He was dangerous that I didn't leave the hospital for 9 hours. Not even to eat. Not even to breathe fresh air. I stayed curled in that stiff plastic chair beside Oliver's crib while monitors beeped steady reassurance and nurses moved in gentle rhythms around us. Every time his oxygen dipped even a little, my heart tried to claw its way out of my chest. Every time it climbed back up, I felt like I'd been handed another minute of life. They admitted him for observation, viral bronchiolitis, moderate severity. Oxygen support, fluids, suctioning. Words that meant he's safe for now. Words that kept me from collapsing entirely. But my brain never stopped running the other track. Insurance. Debt. Policy. Accident. Ethan. My phone sat face down on my lap most of the day. I couldn't bear to look at it, but I also couldn't let it out of reach. Like it had become both weapon and lifeline at once. Around hour 6, when Oliver finally slept without that horrible wheeze, I picked it up. Lena had sent files. Dozens. Photos of documents spread across what looked like a hardwood floor, loan contracts, credit statements, insurance forms. My name everywhere. My social. My signature. Except, not my signature. Close enough to pass. Wrong enough to see if you knew. My stomach turned over. There it was, personal loan, $38,000. Credit line, $22,500. Auto lease, $31,200. Medical credit, $14,900. More. 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 6 figures. He'd buried me alive financially. I scrolled further. Insurance policy. Insured, me. Beneficiary, Ethan Hayes. Amount, $750,000. The number didn't even look real. Just abstract digits. But the clause Lena mentioned was highlighted in one photo. Enhanced payout if death classified accidental, no chronic illness. My hand started shaking so hard the phone rattled. Ma'am, a nurse said softly beside me. You okay? I jerked upright, forcing the screen dark. Yeah. Just, tired. She gave a sympathetic smile. You've been through a lot today. You have no idea. When she left, I turned the phone back on and opened Lena's last message. We need to move quickly. He's suspicious already. My pulse spiked. I typed, why? Her reply came instantly. He realized documents were disturbed. Asked me if I touched his bag. Cold spread through me. What did you say? Denied. But he's paranoid now. Watching me. A new terror bloomed. If Ethan suspected Lena, was she safe? Had I dragged her into danger just by existing? Before I could ask, another message arrived. He's going out tonight. Says he has unfinished business. My throat closed. What kind of business? I typed. 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Then, he asked if you'd contacted him today. Ice water in my veins. I hadn't. Not since morning. Not since before the hospital. My call log was silent. Which meant he expected me to, I whispered aloud. Expected me worried. Reaching out. Searching. When I didn't. He noticed. A new message popped in. I think he planned to see you tonight. My heart slammed. Why? Lena's typing paused longer this time. When it came, the message was just one sentence. Because he believes you're alone. The room tilted. I looked at Oliver sleeping under hospital lights, oxygen tubing looped gently across his cheeks. Safe. Supervised. Surrounded by staff. And understood instantly. Ethan thought I was home. Alone. Vulnerable. Predictable. Exactly where he'd left me. My hands went cold. What do I do? I typed. Lena replied, stay where you are. Do not go home tonight. Relief and fear crashed together. Okay. Another message, can you access your bank? My stomach dropped. Yes. Check balances. Now. My fingers fumbled through apps, passwords suddenly feeling like landmines. When my account opened, I almost didn't process what I saw. Balance, $14.32. I stared, uncomprehending. Yesterday it was over $2,000, rent money, groceries, last of maternity leave savings. Gone. He drained it, I typed, numb. Her reply, yes. Transfers at 2:14 p.m. I looked at the timestamp. 2 hours after Oliver and I arrived at the ER. He'd emptied my account while my baby fought to breathe. Something inside me went very, very quiet. Why now? I asked. Her answer came slowly. Because if you died tonight, remaining funds revert to spouse. He needs you financially empty first. The implications settled like ash. He'd planned timing. My son sick. Me distracted. Account drained. Visit scheduled. My pulse roared in my ears. Lena, I typed, hands shaking, what do you think he planned? A long pause. Then. I think he intended to stage an accident at your apartment. The air left my lungs. Gas leak. Fall. Electrical fire. Bathroom slip. Stairs. So many accidents available in a cheap, poorly maintained building. My vision tunneled. Across the room, Oliver stirred, letting out a small, congested whimper. I rushed to his side, touching his chest until I felt the steady rise and fall. I've got you, I whispered. I've got you. But inside, a new truth locked into place with terrifying clarity. If I'd gone home tonight, I might not have survived it that I didn't sleep. Not even when the ward lights dimmed and the night shift took over in hushed voices and soft-soled shoes. Oliver dozed in short, fragile stretches, his breathing still rough but steadier, and I stayed bent over his crib like a guard dog, one hand always touching him, like if I broke contact he might vanish. Or I might. My phone lay open beside me, Lena's messages glowing in the dark. Do you have anyone you trust? She'd asked an hour earlier. I'd stared at that question for a long time. Trust. It felt like a foreign word now. My parents were out of state, older, fragile themselves. Friends had drifted after the baby, distance, schedules, life. Ethan had been my emergency contact, my partner, my only real safety net. Which meant. No, I whispered to the empty room, typing the same answer. Her reply came fast, then we build a new safety plan. Starting tonight. A checklist followed. Do not return home. Disable location sharing if active. Change all passwords. Contact bank fraud line. Freeze credit. Preserve evidence. Notify hospital security. The last one made my pulse spike. Security? I typed. Yes. If he planned to visit your residence and you're not there, he may search for you. Cold slid through me. He wouldn't come here, I murmured. Then remembered, he'd already drained my bank while I was here. He knew the hospital. He knew everything. I stood abruptly and stepped into the hallway, phone clutched tight. The nurse's station glowed under soft lights, two staff charting quietly. Hi, I said, voice low but tight. I need to speak to security. They looked up instantly, trained radar for distress. Of course, one said gently. Is someone threatening you? The word caught in my throat. Threatening. He might be, I said. My husband. 10 minutes later I was in a small office off the ward with a security supervisor, middle-aged, calm, the kind of presence that steadies rooms. I explained in fragments, estranged spouse, financial fraud, fear of confrontation. I didn't say insurance or accident. Not yet. Even speaking it felt unreal. He listened without interruption. We'll flag your chart confidential, he said when I finished. Visitor restrictions. Photo ID required. No spouse access without your consent. Relief almost buckled my knees. Thank you. And, he added gently, if you believe you're in danger, we can contact law enforcement now. The words hung heavy. Police. Report. Statement. It would make everything real. I thought of Oliver sleeping under oxygen. Of Lena risking herself. Of drained accounts and forged signatures. Yes, I said quietly. I think I am. He nodded once and made the call. Back in Oliver's room afterward, my hands trembled, not from fear now, but from the shock of action. Things were moving. Lines being drawn. My life splitting into before and after. My phone buzzed. Lena, are you safe? Hospital notified security, I typed. Police coming. 3 dots. Then, good. I'm proud of you. The words hit unexpectedly hard. I pressed my lips together, tears stinging. What about you? I asked. Are you safe there? A pause. Then, he left 20 minutes ago. Said he's handling something. My heart slammed. Where are you? Apartment. Packing essentials. I'm leaving tonight. You should, I whispered aloud. Another message, he looked different before he left. Agitated. Focused. My stomach twisted. Because I wasn't home. Yes. A new message followed almost immediately. If he can't find you, he may improvise. Ice crawled up my spine. What does that mean? Typing stopped. Started. Stopped again. Finally, it means plans like his rely on opportunity. Isolation. Control. If that's disrupted, unpredictability increases. Unpredictable Ethan. The phrase alone made my skin crawl. I looked at Oliver, monitors glowing, nurses passing, security aware. Safest place we'd been in months. And understood, the hospital wasn't just care. It was refuge. Sirens wailed faintly outside, approaching, fading, part of the city's constant pulse. Somewhere in that night, Ethan was moving, searching, recalculating. But not here. Not tonight. I sank into the chair beside Oliver, exhaustion finally pressing down like gravity. My son stirred, tiny fingers curling around mine. I've got you, I whispered again. And for the first time since morning, I believed it. Because the truth, terrible and sharp, had given me something I didn't have before. Warning. If Ethan had come looking for me at the apartment tonight, he would have found an empty home. And a plan already collapsing. The police arrived just after midnight. 2 officers, 1 woman, 1 man, quiet, professional, the kind of presence that didn't escalate the room but filled it. Hospital security brought them in through a side corridor to avoid attention. I appreciated that more than I could explain. The last thing I needed was a public scene while my baby slept under oxygen. "Ma'am," the female officer said gently, pulling up a chair beside me. "I'm Officer Ramirez. This is Officer Cole. We understand you have concerns about your spouse." Concerns. The understatement almost made me laugh. "Yes," I said. My voice sounded steadier than I felt. I think he may be planning to harm me." They didn't flinch. Didn't dismiss. Just nodded once, the way people do when they've heard worse. "Start from the beginning," Ramirez said. So I did. I told them about Ethan leaving. The financial accounts. The drained bank balance. The insurance policy. The forged signatures. Lena. The documents. The suspected visit tonight. Every word felt surreal in my mouth, like I was narrating someone else's nightmare. They listened without interrupting, taking notes only occasionally. When I finished, Cole asked quietly, "Do you have evidence of the financial activity?" "Yes." I handed over my phone, Lena's files already open. They scrolled in silence for several minutes. Ramirez's expression hardened slightly at the signatures. Cole exhaled low at the debt totals. "This is significant fraud," he said. My throat tightened. "And the insurance?" Ramirez met my eyes. "The policy alone doesn't prove intent to harm. But combined with identity theft and financial depletion," she paused carefully, "it raises concern." Concern. I understood what she meant: suspicion, not proof. Threat, not attempt. Yet. "We can document everything tonight," she continued. "Fraud report, domestic threat assessment. That creates record and protection basis." "Protection?" I asked. "Restraining order," she said. "Emergency, if warranted." Relief and terror tangled together. Legal lines meant safety, but also escalation. Once Ethan knew police were involved, whatever mask he wore would drop. "He doesn't know I know," I said quietly. "Good," Cole replied. "Maintain that." They took copies of Lena's files, photographed my bank app showing the drained account, recorded my statement. Calm, methodical steps building a legal shield around me piece by piece. Then Ramirez asked gently, "Do you believe he would attempt to contact or approach you tonight?" I swallowed. "He planned to see me at home. And when he couldn't?" "I don't know." She nodded slowly. "We'll increase patrol near your residence and flag his vehicle if known." I gave them the make, model, plate. Saying it felt strange, like turning my husband into a suspect file. Because he was. When paperwork paused, Cole stepped aside to make a call. Ramirez remained, voice softer now. "You did the right thing," she said. "I almost didn't," I admitted. "It sounded crazy." "It doesn't," she said simply. "Patterns like this exist. Financial exploitation, insurance manipulation, staged incidents. Rare, but real." My stomach dropped. "So you think?" "I think," she said carefully, "you're at credible risk until proven otherwise." Credible risk. The word settled heavy, but validating. I wasn't paranoid. I wasn't hysterical. I was responding to evidence. My phone buzzed on the tray beside Oliver's crib. "Lena, police there?" I typed back, "Yes." 3 dots. Then, "Good." I left. Staying undisclosed location. Relief washed through me. "Thank you." Her reply, "We're not done yet." Before I could answer, another message appeared. He's calling me. My pulse spiked. Answer. I have to. If I don't, he'll suspect. My fingers went cold. Be careful. 3 dots blinked, then vanished. Minutes crawled. Oliver breathed. Monitors beeped. Officers spoke quietly with security. Then my phone lit again. Lena, he went to your apartment. Ice through my veins. You weren't there. My hands shook. What did he say? The typing bubble lingered longer this time. Finally. He said the lights were off. Mail untouched. No car. I stared at the screen, heart hammering. He'd checked. Confirmed absence. Evidence of planning. Another message came, fast. He sounded off. Off how? Pause. Angry. Confused. Kept asking if you mentioned hospital. My breath caught. He suspected. What did you say? That you hadn't contacted me. Good. Safe. Still cover. Then. He asked if you seemed depressed lately. My stomach dropped. Narrative building again. Fragile wife. Postpartum. Alone. What did you say? I said you sounded fine. Relief flickered. Then Lena sent one last message. He said, she ruined everything. The room went silent around me. He ruined everything. Not debt. Not fraud. Me. Because I wasn't home. Because I didn't die on schedule. My chest tightened. Across the crib, Oliver stirred, tiny hand reaching blindly. I grasped it instantly, grounding myself in warmth and life. The police finished notes and stood. We'll follow up tomorrow, Ramirez said. For now, remain here. Do not return home. Call immediately if he contacts you. I nodded. They left. Security settled outside the ward. And I sat in the dim hospital light holding my son's hand while one truth crystallized with chilling clarity. Tonight was supposed to be the night. And I had accidentally survived it that I expected Ethan to call me. That was the part one couldn't shake, the inevitability of it. He'd gone to the apartment. Found it dark, empty, wrong. Checked for me like someone verifying a package delivery that never arrived. And now the timeline in his head, the one where everything ended clean and profitable, had fractured. So he would reach for control. Which meant reaching for me. But the call didn't come that night. Or the next morning. Or the next. Oliver stayed admitted 2 full days. Oxygen tapered slowly, his breathing easing from harsh pulls to soft, congested sighs. Every improvement felt like a miracle layered over terror. I barely slept, barely ate, existing in this suspended state where my son's recovery and my husband's threat occupied the same mental space. Police returned the second day, formal report, fraud case opened, restraining order process started. Words like financial exploitation, identity theft, credible threat assessment appeared in paperwork beside my name. Seeing them in print made everything both more horrifying and more solid. This wasn't paranoia. It was documented. Still no Ethan. Which somehow felt worse. He's recalculating, Lena texted. We'd fallen into constant contact now, updates, strategy, fragments of reassurance. Strange how the woman my husband betrayed me with had become my closest ally. But trauma makes odd coalitions. What does that mean? I asked. It means his plan failed unexpectedly. People like him adapt before acting again. My stomach twisted. So he'll try something else? Pause. Possibly. But you disrupted his timeline. That matters. I looked at Oliver sleeping, tiny chest finally rising easy. Yes. It mattered. That afternoon discharge came through, home care instructions, follow-up appointments, prescriptions. The word home made my pulse spike. I didn't have one anymore. Do you have somewhere safe to stay? The discharge nurse asked gently. I hesitated. Then, not really. She nodded like she'd heard it before. We can connect you with social services. Temporary housing options. Relief hit so hard my eyes burned. Yes. Please. By evening, arrangements were in motion. Confidential domestic safety housing. Not a shelter exactly, more like anonymous short-term apartments for crisis cases. Secure location. Undisclosed address. Staffed access. A place Ethan couldn't find. I held Oliver close while security escorted us through a side exit at dusk. The winter air bit sharp and clean after days of antiseptic hospital breath. A plain sedan waited, no markings, no identifiers. Safe transport. As we drove, I watched the city slide past in gray-blue twilight and felt the strange grief of displacement. Not just fear, loss. The apartment, cheap and peeling, had been our life. Our routines. Our baby's first home. Now it was a crime scene in waiting. My phone buzzed. Lena, he called again. My pulse jumped. What did he want? You. Cold. Asked if I'd heard from you. Said you're not answering him. I frowned. He hasn't called me. 3 dots. Then. He said he has. Multiple times. I pulled up my call log. Nothing. Wait, I whispered, dread rising. When? Her reply came fast. Since yesterday morning. Ice crawled down my spine. He'd told Lena he was calling me. But he hadn't. Which meant. He's building a record, I breathed. Missed calls. Concerned husband. Unreachable wife. Narrative again, unstable, withdrawn, vanished. If something happened now, he'd look worried. Searching. Innocent. My stomach turned. What else did he say? Pause. Then. He asked if you seemed suicidal. The word hit like a physical blow. No, I said aloud, shaking. Oliver stirred in my arms. I rocked him gently, heart pounding. What did you say? I typed. I said absolutely not. Relief flickered, but thin. Then Lena sent one more message. He said, she's fragile. I'm scared she'll hurt herself. The car's interior suddenly felt too small. He was pivoting. If accident failed, suicide. Insurance still paid in many policies after waiting periods. My skin went cold. He's rewriting the ending, I whispered. Oliver's breath warmed my neck, alive and steady. And in that moment, another truth locked into place. Surviving the first plan didn't mean safety. It meant escalation. Because Ethan Hayes still needed me dead. Just, differently, the safe apartment was on the 3rd floor of an ordinary building that looked like 100 others, neutral siding, identical balconies, nothing memorable. That was the point. No sign, no office, no indication that inside were women and children whose lives had veered suddenly into danger. The caseworker met us at the door, soft voice, kind eyes, efficient hands. She showed me the unit quickly, small living room, kitchenette, bedroom with a crib already assembled. Clean. Anonymous. Temporary. Safe. I stood in the middle of it holding Oliver and felt the strangest mix of relief and grief. This was protection. This was exile. This was survival. Only staff have the address, the caseworker said gently. Your spouse cannot access you here. Spouse. The word sounded wrong now. Like a legal ghost. After she left, the silence settled thick around us. No hospital monitors. No nurses. No police presence. Just me and my baby in a place Ethan didn't know existed. I locked the door. Checked it twice. Then again. Trauma rewires fast. Oliver slept almost immediately, exhaustion finally claiming him. I laid him in the crib and stood watching his chest rise and fall, counting breaths out of habit now. 10. 20. 30. Steady. Alive. I sank onto the couch and opened my phone. Lena, you there? Yes. Safe housing. A pause, then, good. I'm proud of you. The words warmed and hurt at once. Any news? I asked. 3 dots. Gone. Back again. He filed a missing person inquiry. The room tilted. What? I whispered. Called police non-emergency. Reported you unreachable, mentally unstable, possibly with infant. My pulse roared. He's moving fast, I breathed. Yes. Narrative shift complete, distressed wife disappears with baby. Concerned husband searching. My stomach twisted. He's trying to find me. Exactly. If police believed him first, they might share information. Locations. Contacts. Movement. Everything I'd hidden could unravel. Panic surged. What do I do? You already filed. Your report precedes his. That protects you. I sagged with relief. But, she added, he's escalating. My chest tightened. How? Pause. Then. He told them you threatened self-harm last month. The lie hit like acid. I never, my voice broke. I never said that. I know. But he's seeding documentation. Memory flickered, an argument weeks ago, me crying from exhaustion, saying, I can't do this alone. Ethan watching too closely. Too calm. Oh God. He's twisting everything, I whispered. Yes. Another message came. He asked if you'd taken out life insurance. Ice flooded my veins. Why would he ask that? Because if you did, suicide exclusions differ. He's mapping scenarios. My hands went numb. Even now. Even after failure. He was calculating pathways to the same outcome. Oliver stirred, soft whimper breaking the spiral. I rushed to him, lifting his warm weight against my chest. His breath puffed steady into my collarbone. I've got you, I murmured. But inside, terror coiled tighter. My phone buzzed again. There's more, Lena wrote. My stomach dropped. What? Long pause. Then. He accessed your email. Blood roared in my ears. No, I whispered. I changed passwords. Yes. But he logged in yesterday morning. Before you did. Cold realization slammed in. He'd been inside everything. Medical portals. Banking. Communication. Evidence. What did he do? I typed, shaking. Her reply came slowly. He sent drafts. To himself. The room seemed to tilt sideways. Drafts of what? Typing bubble lingered. Then. Notes written as you. My breath stopped. No, I said aloud. Another message. Apologies. Despair. Statements about being overwhelmed. Tears spilled hot. He's faking. Suicide ideation documentation, she finished. The phone trembled in my hand. He's preparing evidence, I whispered. Yes. My chest tightened so hard it hurt. If something happened to me now, fall, overdose, crash, there would be emails. Messages. Concerned husband. History of distress. A complete story. Authored by him. I sank onto the bed, clutching Oliver as reality crystallized in cold clarity. Ethan hadn't just planned my death. He'd written my obituary. I didn't cry. That surprised me most. You'd think learning your husband forged your suicide notes would shatter you into hysterics. But something inside me had shifted past tears, past shock, into this hard, lucid calm. Like my brain finally accepted the shape of the threat and locked into survival mode. Predator identified. Countermeasures required. I sat at the small kitchen table in the safe apartment, Oliver sleeping in the crib beside me, and opened my laptop, the one Ethan didn't know I'd kept from before we married. Old device. Old accounts. Untouched by him. Clean ground. My phone buzzed. Lena, we need to preserve those emails before he deletes them. How? I typed. Forensic capture. Headers, timestamps, IP logs. I know someone. Of course she did. Fraud investigator. Relief flickered. Yes. I'll arrange remote session. Do not access compromised account from known devices again. I nodded reflexively. Okay. Another message followed. Police will need chain of custody evidence. This is big. Big. I looked at Oliver, tiny, alive, breathing, and felt the truth settle with cold weight. This wasn't just divorce. Or abuse. Or fraud. It was attempted staged death. My death. A new message. There's something else you need to see. My stomach dropped. What? A photo arrived. I opened it. And stopped breathing. It was my kitchen. Our kitchen. Except not as I left it. The stove knobs were turned slightly open. A dish towel lay dangerously close to the burner. A chair tipped near the counter. And on the floor, shattered glass. Staged chaos. What is this? I whispered. Lena, he sent it to himself. Timestamp, tonight. My pulse thundered. He went back, I breathed. Yes. I stared at the image, dread rising like floodwater. Gas. Fire. Fall. Accident scene construction. If I'd been home. My hands went cold. Another photo arrived. Bathroom floor wet. Hairdryer on tile. Extension cord trailing. Electrocution narrative. My vision tunneled. He planned multiple, I said hoarsely. Redundancy, Lena replied. Ensures outcome. The clinical word made bile rise. Then the last image came. Stairwell. Loose railing screw half out. One step wet. Lighting dim. Fatal fall. My stomach lurched violently. I slammed the laptop shut, breath ragged. He was going to kill me, I whispered. Not metaphor. Not fear. Plan. Execution. Documentation. Proof now glowing in my phone. Oliver stirred, sensing my distress. I scooped him up instantly, pressing his warm body to mine. His breath steadied me, alive, real, here. I've got you, I murmured into his hair. I'm here. But the truth had crossed the final line. Ethan wasn't a potential threat. He was an attempted murderer interrupted by absence. My phone buzzed again. Lena, police need those images immediately. I swallowed hard. Yes. Also, he knows you weren't home by choice. Ice slid through me. How? Pause. Then. He checked hospital admissions. My blood went cold. He can't. He has your SSN. Date of birth. He called pretending to be you. Rage flashed white hot. He accessed my medical records. Tried. Denied. But he learned you were admitted with child. So now he knew. I hadn't vanished. I'd escaped. My pulse pounded. What will he do? I whispered. The typing bubble appeared, stopped, appeared again. Finally. When a staged plan fails and exposure risk rises, offenders pivot to containment. My chest tightened. Containment? Long pause. Then. Silencing witnesses. The air left my lungs. Me. Lena. Anyone with knowledge. Oliver whimpered softly. I held him tighter, terror sharpening into crystal clarity. This wasn't over. It had just changed phase. Because Ethan Hayes now knew two things with certainty. I was alive. And I knew. The police came back faster this time. Not the calm, note-taking visit from before. This was urgent, 2 detectives in plain clothes, hospital security already looping in domestic violence protocol, Lena's images forwarded through official channels. The air in the safe apartment shifted the moment they stepped inside. This wasn't precaution anymore. It was active threat. Ma'am, the lead detective said, voice steady but clipped, we've reviewed the materials you and your associate provided. Associate. Strange word for the woman my husband cheated with who'd become my lifeline. But accurate enough. We are now treating your spouse, he continued, as a suspect in aggravated identity theft, insurance fraud, and attempted homicide staging. The words landed heavy, but clarifying. Labels for the horror. Attempted homicide. Not paranoia. Not theory. Crime category. My hands trembled slightly around Oliver, who slept against my chest, warm and oblivious. I pressed my cheek to his hair and nodded. What happens now? We escalate protection and move toward apprehension, the detective said. But we need your cooperation for timing. My pulse jumped. Timing? Yes. He's still mobile and unaware of full evidence scope. That window allows controlled contact. Cold slid through me. You want me to talk to him? It wasn't a question. The detective met my eyes. Only if you consent. But communication from you may prompt incriminating statements or movement we can act on. My stomach twisted. Hearing Ethan's voice again felt like stepping back into a burning building. But Oliver shifted in my arms, tiny breath steady, and something hardened inside me. He almost took this child's mother. Yes, I said quietly. I'll do it. They nodded once, professionals recognizing resolve. We'll supervise, the second detective said. Recorded line. Script guidance. You remain physically secure. Script. Strategy. I swallowed. Okay. They set up quickly, secure phone relay, recording active, officers positioned. My hands shook as they handed me the device. Call him, the detective said softly. Natural tone. No accusation. We listen. I stared at the screen. Ethan Hayes. My husband. My almost killer. My finger hovered, then pressed. It rang twice. 3. Then. Where the hell are you? His voice slammed through me, familiar and venomous at once. Not worried. Not relieved. Angry. I forced breath steady. I've been at the hospital. A pause. Calculations shifting audibly. With Oliver, he asked. Yes. He couldn't breathe. We were admitted. Silence stretched just long enough to reveal truth he hadn't known. Oh, he said finally, tone rearranging into concerned costume. Why didn't you call me? I've been terrified. Across the room, detectives exchanged glances. I swallowed bile. My phone died. It's been chaos. Which hospital? He asked instantly. There it was. Location acquisition. I gave the pre-agreed answer. Downtown. A beat. I'll come. No, I said quickly. Too quickly. I forced softness. He's stable now. We're discharged tomorrow. Another pause. Wheels turning. Good, he said. Come home then. We need to talk. Home. The staged death site. My pulse hammered. I don't think that's a good idea right now. Silence sharpened. Why? He asked. One word. Edge underneath. I let it tremble. I'm overwhelmed, Ethan. Oliver's sick, bills, everything. I just need space. There. His narrative fed back. He exhaled slowly. You sound not okay. Detective's eyes flicked to me. Keep him talking. I'm exhausted, I said. Truth, twisted. You've been fragile lately, he said gently. My stomach turned. Maybe. I'm worried about you, he continued. You've been saying dark things. Rage flashed, but I let tears enter my voice. I haven't. You have, he insisted softly. About not coping. About disappearing. Fabrication, seeded months earlier. I let silence hang. He moved in. Listen. Come home. We'll fix everything. I'll take care of you. The room felt cold. Take care of you. Finish the plan. I can't tonight, I whispered. Pause. Then his voice changed. Subtle. But lethal. Where are you staying? The detective's gaze locked on mine. Do not answer. I don't know yet, I said. Maybe a friend. Which friend? He asked immediately. Trap tightening. I haven't decided. Silence. Long. Then, you're scaring me. The performance sharpened now, concerned husband persona activating. You took my son and vanished. You're not answering. You sound unstable. Do you understand how this looks? There it was. Reversal. He was positioning. I just needed space, I said weakly. From me? He asked quietly. Yes. A breath. Then. Did someone put this in your head? Ice down my spine. Someone? I echoed. That I'm bad for you, he said. That you should run. That you're unsafe. He knew. Not proof, but suspicion. I kept my voice small. No. Silence stretched. Then, very softly. Are you alone? The question hit like a knife. Because beneath it lay calculation, opportunity assessment. I forced a shaky exhale. No. Oliver's with me. A faint, irritated click of tongue. Then warmth returned. Of course, he said. I meant adults. I let hesitation sit. A friend. Male or female? He asked instantly. Control. Territory. Threat mapping. Female. Pause. Who? He pressed. I don't want to say, I whispered. The silence that followed was different. Cold. Predatory. When he spoke again, his voice had lost the mask. Listen carefully, Ethan said. You are my wife. You don't hide from me. You don't take my child and disappear. You don't let strangers poison you against your husband. My heart pounded, but the detective's presence held me steady. I just need time, I said. No, he said quietly. You need to come home. There it was again. Return to sight. I'm not ready, I whispered. A long breath on the line. Then he said it. The sentence that froze my blood. Accidents happen when people run away from the ones protecting them. The room went absolutely still. Not just quiet, still. Like even the air had stopped moving. On the line, Ethan's breathing was soft, patient, waiting for my reaction. Around me, the detectives froze too, every muscle alert. They'd heard it. We all had. A threat, wrapped in concern. My pulse pounded in my throat. I forced it down, kept my voice small, shaken. What does that mean? A beat. Then he exhaled slowly, like I was the unreasonable one. It means, he said gently, you're not thinking clearly. You're emotional. You're making dangerous choices. Taking a sick baby somewhere unstable. Disappearing. That's how tragedies happen. The reframing was almost elegant. Not I'll hurt you. You'll hurt yourself. He'd shifted fully into the narrative he'd been building for months. I swallowed. I'm safe. With who? He pressed again. I told you, I whispered. A friend. Name. No. Silence. Then something changed in his tone, subtle, chilling. Not anger. Not even frustration. Decision. Okay, he said softly. If that's how you want to do this. My stomach dropped. What does that mean? I asked. It means, he said, voice calm and flat now, you're unwell enough that I need to step in. Ice flooded my veins. Step in how? I'm filing emergency custody, he said. And a welfare hold. The words hit like gunshots. Emergency custody. Welfare hold. He's my son, I choked. And you're unstable, he replied evenly. You disappeared with him. Refused contact. Exhibited paranoia. I have documentation. The forged emails. The lies to police. The seeded history. My hands shook around the phone. You can't, I whispered. I can, he said. And I will. Tonight. Across from me, the lead detective mouthed, keep him talking. I forced breath. Why are you doing this? Silence. Then, very quietly. Because you ruined everything. The truth slipped out before he could stop it. My heart slammed. What did I ruin? A pause too long. Then he caught himself, tone snapping back to concern. Your health. Our family. Your stability. But the mask had cracked. I pushed. You went to the apartment. Stillness. I know you did, I whispered. You expected me there. Nothing. Why? I asked. The detectives leaned forward. Seconds stretched. Then Ethan spoke, voice low, stripped of performance now. You were supposed to be home. The room seemed to tilt. There it was. Admission without saying the word. My breath trembled. Why? A long inhale on the line. Then, barely audible. It would have been clean. Every nerve in my body turned to ice. Clean. Staged. Finished. Proof. The detective's hand closed into a silent fist. Got it. My voice broke for real now. You were going to kill me. Silence. Then a soft, almost weary exhale. You always make things dramatic, Ethan said. Deflection. But too late. Sirens wailed faintly outside the safe building, approaching fast. Ethan heard nothing yet. Come home, he said quietly. We can still fix this. Footsteps thundered in the hallway outside our door, police tactical. I whispered into the phone, tears sliding freely now, no. A beat. Then his voice cooled to absolute zero. Then this ends badly for you. The door burst open behind the detectives, uniforms, commands, movement. On the phone, Ethan went silent. Then, what did you do? I didn't answer. I just listened. Because in the distance, faint but unmistakable through the line, came shouting. Male voices. Authority. Resistance. They had him. Ethan's breath turned sharp. You. The line cut. 3 months later, I stood in a courtroom holding Oliver on my hip. 3 months later, I stood in a courtroom holding Oliver on my hip. He was healthy now, round-cheeked, bright-eyed, alive. The judge's voice echoed through polished wood and quiet gravity as charges were read: aggravated identity theft, insurance fraud, attempted homicide conspiracy, coercive control, evidence fabrication. Words that mapped the nightmare into law. Lena sat behind me, no longer secret, no longer shadow. Witness. Ally. Survivor in her own right. Our eyes met briefly, and we shared the strange, fierce bond forged in danger. Ethan stood in restraints. He didn't look at me. Predators rarely do once exposed. The prosecutor laid out everything: forged debt, staged accident photos, fake emails, recorded call. The sentence, it would have been clean, played aloud in court, his own voice sealing his intent. Gasps moved through the gallery. I held Oliver tighter. When it was my turn, I spoke simply. No theatrics. Just truth. He didn't fail to kill me, I said. He failed to find me. Silence filled the courtroom. Because that was the difference between life and death. I hadn't been home. We never went back to that apartment. The case ended with conviction. Prison. Debt reversed. Identity restored. Protection orders permanent. But survival isn't just legal. It's personal. A year later, Oliver toddled across a sunlit living room in a new city, laughing at nothing, safe in a life Ethan never reached. I watched him, coffee cooling in my hands, and felt the quiet, astonishing weight of continued existence. I had outlived a plan. Not by strength. Not by luck. By interruption. A sick baby. An unexpected witness. A missed night. Sometimes survival isn't heroic. Sometimes it's simply not being where someone needed you to die. I kissed Oliver's hair and whispered the truth I'd learned the hardest way. I stayed alive. And this time, no one else would write my ending.